Good morning. My name is Jill Thompson, and I have the honor of being your worship associate this morning. We welcome everyone here and online to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, with a special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. We hope you'll stay after the service for coffee in the fellowship hall. Let's take a second to stand up and connect with everyone watching at home. We can wave to the camera there. For those of you online who wish to share your joys and concerns during the Lifelines portion of the service, please put them in the chat in the next 15 minutes. We acknowledge with gratitude and reverence that our church resides on land inhabited by the Tutelo and Monacan nations. Our minister is the Reverend Walter LaFleur, and today's sermon is called A Reverence for Reverence. Please join me in reciting our words of welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness or overflowing with joy, needing to be alone with yourself or eager to engage with others, all who welcome all are welcome here. And now our covenant. We commit to supporting each other with respect and direct communication as we work in community to explore spiritual growth and to be a force for good in the world.
I said the donkey shaggy and brown, I carried his mother up hill and down, I carried her safely to Bethlehem town. I said the donkey shaggy and brown. I said the cow all white and red, I gave him my manger for his bed, I gave him my hay to pillow his head. I said the cow all white and red. I said the sheep with the curly horn, I gave him my wool for his blanket warm. He wore my coat on Christmas morn. I said the sheep with the curly horn. I said the dove from the rafters high, I cooed him to sleep that he would not cry. We cooed him to sleep, my maid and I said the dove from the rafters high. Thus every beast by some good spell in the stable dark was glad to tell of the gift he gave Emmanuel, the gift he gave Emmanuel. humbly born in a stable roof, and the friendly beasts around him stood. Jesus, our brother, kind and good.
Good morning. I think fall has left. Our opening words come from Psalm number 65. Is this mic too high? Is the volume too high? Okay. Thus you have prepared the land, drenching its furrows, breaking up its clods, softening it with showers, blessing its yield. You have crowned the year with your bounty and with abundant harvest. The fallow meadows overflow. The valleys are blanketed with flocks. They shout and sing for joy. Our chalice-lighting words come from our hymnal, number 448. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Hello, hello. I'm going to invite young folks and those young at heart that want to move in close to come forward. And while you're headed up here, I'll introduce myself. I'm Jessie. I'm the Director of Lifespan Faith Development here at UUCR, and I use they, them pronouns. So I have a quick question for you guys. How do people tell us to behave in church? What are some things we have to do in church? Be quiet. Be quiet. That's one of them. What else? Listen. What else? How should we sit? What now? Okay, what is proper sitting? Let me hear it. Sitting tall and normal. I like the word normal there. Do we stand on the chairs? No. Do we stand up when people tell us to sit down? Do we sit down when people tell us to stand up? No, we don't do those things. Have common respect. Why do you think we do that in the church?
So people don't get angry at us.
So people don't get angry at us. That is a very valid point. What else? It's a place of worship. Okay, now I'm going to have to ask you another question. What does worship mean? To you. What does it mean to you? Listening or something? What else?
Having a brain fart.
Well, sometimes it means that we're all here together and we're all breathing the same air. That might sound a little grody, but that is also, we're all in this place together. We're all taking breaths in this place together. What kind of things can all these people do together in this room? Sing. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Dance. Hey, there's one of those things that somebody said we're not supposed to do. Could we dance in church? Yes. Oh, I just got some oh yes from out there. So you guys, we're allowed to dance.
Sometimes people do things wrong.
Sometimes people do things wrong, and is that okay?
Yeah, it's just a mistake.
It's just a mistake. It's part of life.
Respect.
Respect. Yeah. So today the adults are going to talk about this word reverence. And we're going to go upstairs. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and then we're going to make a movie. Yes, we're going to do that. But we're going to talk about what reverence means and how we can have reverence for things. And we can have reverence when we're dancing. We can have it when we're standing up by accident while everybody else is sitting down, because none of these people mind. And you know what? Sometimes if you just have to sit on your feet, as long as you're safe, you can just sit on your feet, right? This is a place where you're allowed to do that. That's valid. All right. So we're going to head upstairs now and talk about reverence and make a movie.
Our reading today is from Faith Without Certainty by Paul Razor. Attention can surface when religious liberals feel a need for more spiritual depth, but find themselves reluctant to engage in the kinds of sustained spiritual practices that could provide it. Practices such as prayer and meditation on scripture may carry negative weight of now rejected childhood religious practices. Or they may be narrowly conceived in supernaturalistic terms or smack of pietistic and emotion-laden traditions that rational-minded liberals find uncomfortable. Of course, spiritual depth may be found in many places, from nature to music to long-distance running, and many liberals find fulfillment along these spiritual paths. But if these practices are to become deep spiritual resources, they require discipline and regular practice. Just highlighting my points. Liberals can fall too easily into the trap of thinking that the rational and the spiritual are opposing poles rather than mutually reinforcing parts of our human condition. A complete theology involves not only thinking and feeling, but action. The way we live our lives names our theologies more effectively than any label we can give them. If we name a theology of love but treat people with disrespect, if we name a theology of interdependence but insist on our own independence, if we name a theology of inclusion but think we need to make all the decisions, we are out of sync. In the end, however we define it, it is important to recognize that theology involves many dimensions. It is a realm of feelings and action, as well as a realm of ideas. And this means that theology is hard work. It involves our whole selves, our heads, our hearts, our guts, our hands, our feet.
Reverence is a term we don't often hear in a Unitarian Universalist context. Can you remember the last time you heard the word reverence within these four walls or four walls like it? We tend to intentionally stay away from such things, often in knee-jerk fashion. At least many of us do. I suspect it has something to do with the fact that maybe most of us are come-outers. Many of us have come out of a religious faith community we could no longer believe in. They had words and concepts we no longer believed or could accept. We no longer felt comfortable living our lives in reference to beliefs we could no longer accept as truth. Historically, and to this day, many UUs have turned to science, logic, and rational thought as a primary reference point, as a source of grounding, and as a way of making sense of this universe we inhabit together. We've come up with various names to categorize ourselves. We call ourselves humanists, or atheist, non-theist, agnostic, let alone what others might call us. And unfortunately, many of us have taken pride in our perspective and consider it superior to those who accept religious concepts and dogma that we have rejected. While much less so now than in years gone by, some Unitarian Universalists have been rude and disdainful of those who believe in God, that three-letter word, God with a capital G. In too many of our congregations, we don't talk about God and mention Jesus only in our children's religious education programs and classes and at Christmas time. I know I myself feel pressure to not choose hymns that praise God or are God-centered for fear of alienating those among us who reject the concept of a personal God and seem to have no hesitancy in sharing their perspective. My hope in choosing reverence as our theme for the month is to encourage us to move beyond a knee-jerk reaction to reverence as a religious term and as an orientation to life, moreover. My hope is to help us claim reverence as foundational to a faith community, our faith community, even if some remain uncomfortable with the term God. We can dance with that term at another time. For most of my life, I could comfortably put myself into the aforementioned categories: humanist, non-theist, agnostic. For most of my life, I did not think of myself as being religious. In fact, I think I spent most of my life not going to church. And the term reverence certainly fit within the context of religion. Not only was it a religious term, it was a term associated with God. I gave up believing in God when I was about 12 years old, maybe a bit earlier. I was precocious after all. In retrospect, as I've been thinking about it, for the longest time I put the concept reverence in the same camp as the term admire. I suspect I was in my late 30s or maybe my 40s before I could allow myself to say that I admired someone. I was perfectly comfortable respecting people, thinking highly of them, valuing their contributions to the workplace or the world. But admire? I knew people who were very knowledgeable, talented, highly skilled, but I wasn't comfortable thinking of them in terms of admiration. It seemed to put them up on a pedestal, hold them above the rest of us folks. That changed as I worked with a colleague who over a number of years became a friend. At some point it became clear that I admired Bill Friedman. Bill Friedman. No other term worked as well. He was in a special category. He and I did a fair amount of diversity training together. We did a lot of work centered around issues of race and gender. He's a Jewish white fellow. I came to call him a silver tongue. I would speak my truth, say exactly what I meant, what I thought, what I saw, and more than once my words hit with a thud. But he, on the other hand, always seemed to be able to say things cloaked in velvet. He didn't upset people. No matter what he had to say, he did not upset people. Somehow his words just went in. He seemed to very seldomly get resistance. I always valued his perspective and his insight, and I came to admire his style. I later came to admire him as a consultant, as a father, as a religious man, and as a very dear friend, colleague. In a similar vein, I was late in life to come to reverence. The term reverence crept up on me. I didn't decide to be reverential. One day, I simply understood. I felt reverence. I felt reverence one day. And that it was the same as appreciation or respect. Awareness came as a byproduct of the energy work I was studying and practicing. I recognized in myself a reverence for nature, a reverence for beauty, a reverence for the mystery of this universe of ours. From an awareness of feeling reverence, it was a small step to accept religious concepts. More importantly, my awareness of reverence, the feeling of reverence, allowed me to let go of my childhood, outdated definition of God. It allowed me to reimagine the concept of God, the territory of God. Joseph Campbell, in The Power of Myth, speaks directly to this point. He says the idea of Buddha consciousness is of an immanent, luminous consciousness that informs all things and all lives. He said the idea of Buddha consciousness is of an immanent, luminous consciousness that informs all things and all lives. He said, we unthinkingly live by fragments of that consciousness, fragments of that energy. But the religious way of life is to live not in terms of the self-interested intentions of this particular body at this particular time, but in terms of the insight of that larger consciousness. He tells a story of a Catholic priest asking him a series of questions. Are you a priest? No. Are you Catholic? I was. Do you believe in a personal God? No. The priest then says, I suppose there is no way to prove by logic the existence of a personal God. Campbell, in a very Campbell-like way, responds by saying, if there were a Father, what then would be the value of faith? Campbell was focused on the particular wording of the priest, asking about a belief in a personal God implied the possibility of an impersonal God, which Campbell calls a transcendent ground or energy in itself. That concept, in other words, a Buddha consciousness. I think Campbell would have been uncomfortable finding himself within the broad definition of liberal religion, meaning a broad interpretation of religious dogma, of theological concepts, a liberal interpretation of Scripture, and a non-literalist interpretation of a biblical God. Joseph Campbell, among others, has done us a great service in offering a translation or reconfiguration, reinterpretation perhaps, of important ideas, concepts, and experiences of what's included in a meaningful life. A life well lived. Many of his translations are of the religious ideas and experiences. He so often points out that we put ourselves in a box. We limit ourselves when we constrain ourselves to a literalist interpretation, when we use only that part of the brain that is guided by logic and guided by rational thought. He lived in the world of myth and mind wisdom contained in various orientations to life, to what drives us, to what feeds our deepest strivings. He taught us much about what connects us, human to human, human to nature, present existence to what came before. He guided us on a journey within so we could connect not only what we thought and believed, but to what we value, need, and have experienced already in our lives. He tells us that the concept of God is a unifying concept, connecting all to the all. He tells us we do not need to be constrained by a singular interpretation, God. We don't need to have a personified image of God. He even suggests that God may not need to be seen. Not seen as a source of creation, but may rather be the vehicle of the energies and wonders of the universe. Vehicle. Campbell says that the source of all existence is and always has been a mystery. It's the mystery that we need to tap into, to experience. And when we do, we experience awe and know that we are a part of something much greater than ourselves, much greater than what we know as the human dimension. Our experience of, our connection with that which is greater than elicits a sense of reverence. I'll end with another Campbell quote. Anyone who has had an experience of mystery knows there is a dimension of the universe that is not that which is available to the senses. There is a pertinent saying in one of the Upanishads, and I quote, When before the beauty of a sunset or of a mountain, you pause and exclaim, "Ah," you are participating in divinity. Such a moment of participation involves a realization of the wonder and sheer beauty of existence. It's the recognition of something that is there, that is much greater than the human dimension, our dimension. Reverence, for me, comes as a result of that awareness of wonder. Reverence, for me, comes as a result of that awareness of wonder. Reverence is the experience of connection with, participation in divinity. We can experience reverence and wonder when we truly honor the God within ourselves, and the God within each other. There is reverence there. May you seek it. May you find it. May you be fed by it. Amen and Ashe. It is today that we fit ourselves for the greater usefulness of tomorrow. Today is the seed time. Now are hours of work, and tomorrow comes the harvest and the playtime. W.E.B. Du Bois.
La nanita na nanita na nanita ella. Mi Jesús tiene sueño, bendito sea, bendito sea. La nanita na nanita na nanita ella. Mi Jesús tiene sueño, bendito sea, bendito sea. Fuentecillas que corre, clara y sonora, ruiseñor en la selva, cantando lloras. Callan mientras la cuna se balancea. La nanita nana, nanita ea. Ala nanita na nanita na nanita ea. Mi Jesús tiene sueño, bendito sea, bendito sea. La nanita na nanita na nanita ella. Mi Jesús tiene sueño, bendito sea, bendito sea. Little brook ever flowing, rushing and ringing. Nightingale in the forest, sighing and singing. Quiet while the cradle gently enfolds him. La nanita nana, nanita ea.
May this help grease our way into greater awareness and effectiveness as a faith community. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Linda Wood, representing the Caring Committee today. And I want to remind you that if you have something that you would like to share with our whole church community on a Sunday morning, that you can call the church office, or you can let someone on the Caring Committee know, or you can write it on in the Lifelines book, which is on the altar. I already looked at the book, and there's nothing in it this morning, but we do have some really great news that Lynn Yates is home. She is still, not wanting any visitors or anything. She's still hurting, but she's doing well and is very excited to be back in her own home. I think, don't we have a couple of people who are on countdown to retirement, like Teresa? How many days? 10? Wow. Come on, speak it out. In this day 10? Talking to you, Miss Poole. 10. Betsy, how many days?
December 31st.
December 31st. That's a great Christmas joy. If you have something that you have in your heart that you would like to express, honor silently, this is your opportunity to do that as we come to the altar and light candles. Please use both sides of the altar.
Different key. La blanca Navidad llega trayendo paz a corazón, y la nieve blanca las limpias almas, y así vuelve la ilusión. La blanca Navidad trae a los pequeños la ilusión, y el sueño ambiente irá esta noche una igualdad. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
May our prayers be heard and our hearts be restored.
Our prayer this morning comes from the words of William Henry Channing. To live content with small means, to seek elegance rather than luxury, and refinement rather than fashion, to be worthy, not respectable, and wealthy, not rich, to study hard, think quietly, talk gently, act frankly, to listen to stars and birds, to babes and sages, with open heart, to bear all cheerfully, do all bravely, await occasions, hurry never, to let the spiritual, unbidden, and unconscious grow up through the common. This is to be my symphony.
We have 3 announcements today. The first one is in the order of service. Just a reminder that we're partnering with Williams Memorial Baptist Church for a holiday service project. And this year's project is to purchase personal hygiene items for clients of the rescue mission. So you can see Teresa Poole or Lorraine Fleck during coffee hour after today's service to make a donation. The second announcement is about the food drive for PH students to take food home over break. We just wanted to point out how wonderful you all are. All these bags up here on the risers are food that will help feed some of the teens from Patrick Henry, so thank you. And the last one, pardon me, it was texted to me. Next week after the service, there's going to be a wonderful concert with Jeff White and a reception afterwards for everyone to attend. And so we, specifically Jesse and Curry, are looking for some volunteers to provide finger foods and leave them in the kitchen before next week's service. And if you would not be there next week but would still like to donate, dry and refrigerated items are a wonderful idea. Things like cheese cubes and crackers and frozen eclairs. It should be a really nice event. So thank you.
Tonight will be the 4th night of Hanukkah, so we sing this song in honor of Hanukkah and our own glowing candles. And there's a typo in the order of service. There's no candy in this song. Sorry. Candles, candles, burning bright, they celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah light. Candles, candles, burning bright, they celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah light. Candles, candles, burning bright, they celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah light. Candles, candles, burning bright, they celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah light. Candles, candles, burning bright, they celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah light. Candles, candles, burning bright. They celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah light.
Candles burning so bright.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Burning so bright.
Candles, candles, burning bright. They celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah light. Candles, candles, burning bright. They celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah
so bright.
We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown. Go into your week.